So if you're new here, welcome. My name is Michelle. I'm a certified holistic nutritionist specializing in emotional eating. So emotional eating is a really multi-layered issue, and it can seem really simple when we think about it. Oh, we're out of control with food, our body, let's go to the obvious choices like the diets and exercise plans, and then they don't work for us. And then we think, oh, let's be smarter about this. And you might have heard about not restricting, going towards more intuitive eating, listening to your body, maybe having body positivity, accepting yourself. And you start playing around with these things to help your emotional eating, and they might work and they might not. So a lot of the times when I'm working with clients, of course, all the things they've tried, it doesn't work. So they start off on the really top layer with the diets and exercise, and then they might think, okay, I'm going to try this intuitive eating thing. I'm going to go to therapy. And they're starting to go a little bit deeper into their emotional eating. Maybe they've done some work around trauma, but it's still not hitting the nail on the head. So I always hear this from clients when they come to me. If they focus too much on the emotional work or the trauma work, they have no real way of knowing how to nourish their body because they think it's all about emotions. And then if they've been trying the diets and exercise, they're missing out on the deeper emotional work. So we need all of these pieces to be in motion to resolve your emotional eating at the root. I always say emotional eating is a coping mechanism that would have began in childhood when you were going through distress, discomfort, uncomfortable emotions, and you weren't modeled how to move through that. Or maybe you weren't seen or heard or validated in your experience. You just didn't have those basic needs met. And so you were left with a lot of uncomfortable emotions that you had to figure out a way to be with. And the best way you could figure out was going to food to soothe yourself, to cope, to numb out, to not feel this deep pain. So your needs weren't met by the adults in your life. And so over time, it becomes this battle with food and your body, because if you keep going to food, it impacts your body. You want to control your body. You might have messages around, how you should look. And it starts becoming about food and your body and controlling it. And so when we are so sick of the diets and so sick of controlling our body, things like intuitive eating seem like a really great place. Like maybe it's just we're out of control with food and we need to stop the control because we've been trying to use diets to help us for so long. And what's really going on is that, yes, emotional eating is this coping mechanism that, started off because of our emotions, but emotional eating, you're obviously using food to give you some kind of boost in your mood, to numb out. It's doing something physiologically in your body. So to kind of throw food out the window is not doing yourself a good service. And sometimes a lot of emotional eating programs will say, it's, and I've said this, it's not really about the food, but it doesn't mean you don't need to learn how to interact with food and nourish your body. I have a young son, and he wasn't born into the world knowing how to make sure he's eating the right nutrient-dense foods, or to discern that from processed foods that are manufactured to make us become addicted to them because of the way they're made. And so I have to have some boundaries around the way he's eating. Yes, he's going to tell me he's hungry. He's going to tell me all of these things. But I also have to be aware of these foods that are manufactured and fabricated to play with our brain chemistry, to play with our moods. And so if you say food, and that could be that umbrella, it doesn't really matter about the food, you do have to have discernment and understanding. And so today I want to chat about what we really need. We can't throw everything out the window. We can't throw food out the window, or our body out the window, or, our emotions, for instance, and just focus on emotions, because we need everything in motion to resolve our emotional eating. Yes, we need to step away from diets and restriction, because being restrictive with ourselves, it makes us want to binge. But that doesn't mean we don't learn how to nourish ourselves and knowing what foods are health-giving versus health-depleting, or in and of themselves created to make us addicted to them. And then we also need to look at our emotions and be able to meet our deeper emotional needs. And so all of those things need to be happening at the same time. We need to look at our triggers that are triggering emotional eating. And that could be around our body. We need to also look at the food. So we can't disconnect and say all food is great, however it's made, and ignore how it feels in our body. And so this is why we need a multi-layered approach to our emotional eating. So if I share a little bit about my own journey, when I started off, I did all the diets and exercise because I was out of control with food. And that's all I saw. I didn't know how that was, I just thought if I could control food and my body, I didn't really think about the emotional part. I knew I was eating out of feeling a certain way, but I just thought I didn't have enough willpower, and I didn't know what that missing piece was. And eventually I went to therapy and I thought, oh, it's about emotions. But I wasn't really getting that deep shift around this pattern. It wasn't going into I was talking and having a lot of awareness, but it wasn't going deeper into the pattern. And so I too threw everything out the window. I decided I'm going to eat whatever food I want. I don't care how what does it matter? Can't control food, doesn't matter. And I realized that I couldn't eat just all kinds of food. I felt really gross if I ate certain foods. And I had to start looking at how food made me feel. And if I was eating certain foods, they were like addictive. And the foods I was drawn to if I was in an emotional eating sort of trigger. And I had to discern all of that. And so there are many layers to your emotional eating pattern. And this is why when I'm working with clients, we start off with the true nourishment piece. So there are 3 phases in the emotional eating evolution program. And true nourishment is important, and it might seem counterintuitive to start with nourishment. But I want to set clients up so they start noticing how food feels in their body, how actual hunger feels in their body, and what it feels like to digest food and feel good from food, just based on the types of foods that are nourishing to you. And eating in a nourishing way most of the time. So we're not just like eat whatever you want. There's sort of majority of the time eating foods that feel good in your body, so that you can discern when you're eating foods that are processed that they don't feel good in your body, and you can make a different choice for yourself. And you can see if it's out of emotions that you want to eat that processed food, or you just feel like it. It's just, you just want it because you want it. And you can get to that place where you can tell, I want to eat this food because I'm emotionally triggered, or the food looks really great, I want to have it, and there are consequences to that. So if I eat too many cookies, I'm going to have a stomach ache, or maybe I can have just one because I don't need all of them. And it's a really empowering place to be in. It's a really sovereign place to be in around food. And so this doesn't mean we throw away that food actually has nutritional value and it supports our body and it nourishes us. We don't throw that away. We start taking in and noticing that foods feel good. And something that happens with a lot of my clients when they go through the full process of resolving their emotional eating is that their body starts craving fruits and vegetables because it feels good to them. Their body knows what feels good, and so they're going to go towards those foods. And they don't have to willpower and diet or try to eat healthy. It just happens. And this is how you know you've hit into that deeper core root of your emotional eating. So we're getting at that root, and we're also showing our body and learning about the foods that feel good to it. And so, of course, I have a background in holistic nutrition and in somatic psychotherapy. And so I'm combining all of these into the program, because emotional eating is not just about the right diet or the right exercise plan or the right emotional work or nervous system regulation. It's about all of these things together. And so as we're doing the deeper work on triggers, when we clear those triggers, our body can talk to us, but we're not born experiencing everything. We also have to give ourselves different experiences of food and see, this is what digesting well looks like. This is what feeling full looks like. This is what feeling energized after a meal feels like. And I like that in my body. I don't want to just eat whatever comes to my mind. A lot of the times in intuitive eating, it's like whatever pops into your mind, you eat that. And then there are consequences to it. So you don't know. Here, yes, there could be consequences to how you're eating, but you're at least setting yourself up to understand your human biology a little bit better with simple steps of learning to tap into your true hunger, seeing how we need water, we need fruits, we need vegetables. Sometimes it's very basic, but we need to see how that feels in our body, and seeing how true digestion feels to know that, oh, this feels better to eat this way. And I can really clearly see when I'm emotionally triggered so that I am noticing when I want those foods or when I'm craving them. Or maybe I'm just feeling like I want to have a donut and I'm good with that. We want to have that clear space. So this is something that's important when you are wanting to resolve your emotional eating. You have to look at, does a program help you with restriction, moving away from restriction towards nourishing your body, but helping you actually see what is healthy for your body, what is going to feel good in your body, really being able to tap into you're nourishing your body with quality foods, but there's space for it all. Is it also connecting to your body's needs and noticing that you might change throughout the month, or your needs might change throughout the month? You're wanting to move, your movement, your habits around, let's say, sleep, or how you talk to your body. That's in place too, because we tend to restrict because we want a smaller body. And so we need to be playing with those sort of layers. And the third area is, of course, getting into the root of that emotional eating, actually getting into those unresolved emotions at a deeper level and resolving them, not bypassing them, not willpowering your way out of them, not fighting the urge, but actually meeting your true emotional needs at a deep level. This is not just intellectualizing it and talking about it. It's about a body level processing. So if all three of those pieces are in motion, it's going to help you resolve your emotional eating. Of course, you're catching your triggers to do this work, but that's what I see has helped clients shift, and they get to that place where they're confident around food because they know how it feels in their body. They're confident in their body because they're seeing how good and energized they feel, and they're also moving through those emotions at a body level that have been, keeping them in this addictive cycle. And they feel freedom, they feel sovereignty, and they feel that ease and peace. And it's almost like a shift, an embodied shift in the way they feel. So if you're curious about how to get started on this, I would love to invite you to take the first step I always give to clients, and that's about discerning true from emotional hunger. So I have a free guide called What Are You Truly Hungry For? In the guide, it's going to help you discern true from emotional hunger and start catching your triggers. And if you'd like to find out more about how I work with women, you can also find out more about the Emotional Eating Evolution Program. It's my 12-week container. It has the step-by-step process, the guidance, support, the in-depth tools, one-to-one sessions with me to get to the root of this pattern so you can get to ease and peace around food and in your body in a sustainable way. So the links for that are below. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like and subscribe. I look forward to sharing more with you, and I hope you have a great day.